everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the story behind Brain Glow. This has become one of our most popular, most loved formulations. It's been out about 12 or 13 years, and me personally, I do not skip a day. I am so grateful that I am able to bring formulations like this in using my knowledge, my experience from my dad, and also my own intuition. Because when I first started formulating, which I brought my first full blend out after my dad passed about 20 years ago, and this was our immunity boost. I didn't realize it then, the herbs that I was putting together to make this formula, I didn't realize the depth of what I was doing based on just watching my dad, doing my own research. And then I realized there was a lot of just intuition as I was researching and studying the herbs that go into making a blend and what it's designed to do. It follows traditional herbal wisdom because you really start to realize that no single herb can do everything. So when it comes to the brain, we need to remember first this: the brain is incredibly complex. So we need herbs that bring healthy circulation, resiliency to your nervous system, help balance your stress responses, and then provide your brain or the organ you're working on with good nourishment. So this is where you start to say, okay, let's take herbs that are known to do this and do this and do this. And there's a lot of study and research that goes into putting together a blend, especially when it affects a certain organ. And some of them are simpler, like for example, my heart love. 3 simple ingredients: cayenne pepper, which is very much known for its heart health properties, slippery elm, and cinnamon. So that's a simple, but those 3 are the perfect blend to go support your heart for heart health. But when it comes to the brain, your brain is a little bit more complex, and there's all kinds of things that it needs so that it can do what it's supposed to do. So this was not a super easy formulation or a super fast formulation for me to bring in. It took me about 18 months of research and study and deep dives into many herbs. In fact, in my notes, I brought some of them here with me, but in my notes, I go into deep dive on about 48 different herbs when I was looking at which ones belong into this beautiful formula. And I was actually making this because I was getting close to 50 and I was thinking, I need to do something for my cognitive health. I want mental clarity. I want energy. I want vitality. I want to recognize my grandkids and my kids when I'm older. And you watch the instances of not just Alzheimer's, but just dementia and even brain fog and all those things that we see happening in our world, which has a lot of components. You know, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the different toxins and the different microbes that are introduced into our bodies. And it is a kind of constant detox this system, nourish this system, protect this system. We are a complicated organism, but at the same time, we are also very simple. And I do believe with every fiber of my being that the Creator, God, put these plants on the earth to help humans be well. And this is where all of the study comes in, all of the texts and all of the ancient wisdom. You look at all of these herbs and how they've been studied and utilized to help humans thrive. And there is no doubt in my mind that it's brilliant. And this is where I believe the wisdom is coming back in. And there's so many reasons to just have hope for a beautiful future. Even though we're in a big transitionary period right now, I think there's so many reasons to know that the human species will not only continue, but we're going to thrive. And that also is something I know to the depth of who I am. I believe I came in this time to participate in that. And for that, I am grateful. When I formulated Brain Glow, I wrote down a couple of these things. I realized I was wanting to create a blend that reflected the philosophy of herbs that support and complement each other. Okay. So I chose several traditional botanicals that many herbalists have valued over generations. So it wasn't something that was like, oh, this is popular now and this was popular 10 years ago. These are all very studied herbs. And I also did not want something that would provide a stimulant like caffeine. I didn't want something that was just something quick. In fact, all of the herbs that I chose in here go after different things. Some of them have some similarities, but what they do is they provide long-term support. So this is not just, let's take something because it has a pop of caffeine in it. I'm a fan of green tea with caffeine, and I even like to have a cup of coffee here and there. And I do like that mental stimulation that one of those things will give me quickly. But the whole goal of Brain Glow was to provide something that would give our brain nourishment, support, stress relief, circulation, oxygenation to the brain, and give you longevity to build it over time. This is one of those formulations that I will never skip. And I haven't skipped it since the day that I formulated it. If I have, it's been in there here and there, super rare, because I've had people tell me such beautiful testimonials. In fact, check out our website. Go see some of the reviews that are on our website about Brain Glow. Really beautiful. So what I want to do is I just want to give you some of the brief notes in my journal on each of the 8 herbs that made it into Brain Glow and why. So the very first thing, I didn't have to even think too hard about this one, was Ginkgo Biloba. This one is thousands of years old. It's the oldest living tree species. I have 2 ginkgo trees in my yard. I love this plant, and it has been well studied, well researched. It's actually given to people in places in Europe and especially in Germany as a prescription for cognitive health. It provides oxygen and circulation to the brain. So here's what I wrote. So it is one of the best known herbs to support healthy blood flow, in particular for the brain. So it helps with memory, concentration, mental clarity, and healthy circulation. That's the most important thing that I love about Ginkgo Biloba. Now, the second one is a really beautiful plant, tiny little purple flower called Periwinkle. This one, powerful. And here's what this does. It has been valued for supporting also healthy circulation, but mental function. Okay. And to me, it's got a lot of modern uses, even though it's not as popular and well known for brain function and circulation as ginkgo. Okay. It's just one of those little humble herbs that sits there and does its job, but it's a beautiful complement to the Ginkgo Biloba. Now, the next one, this one is really fun. This is called water hyssop, or Bacopa manieri, right? This is well known. It's a water loving plant. It loves different places, but it needs a lot of water and it thrives there. So here's what its primary role is I wrote in my notes, memory and learning support, because one of the most important things for us as we age is to be continually learning and growing. And when we stop learning, we stop growing. It's just like when we stop moving, we start dying. We are meant to move. We are meant to learn. To the end of our days, we should not only learn, but we should become teachable. And this is an amazing part of being a human who's awake and aware and loves to take care of this beautiful physical vessel that carries our consciousness around for all these experiences, right? So water hyssop, this is what I loved about it. It provides learning, memory, concentration, and mental endurance. Okay, think about that. Who wouldn't want to consume something that provides these beautiful properties for their beautiful brain, right? So the next one I put in here was ashwagandha. I did a couple of adaptogens. The first one is ashwagandha, because think about our brain functioning better when our stress response is more balanced. Okay, this is very important. You don't want to just I love ginkgo, pure ginkgo. We actually put it in a single. We have a ginkgo tincture called Biloba. It's really beautiful by itself. Oxygen, circulation to the brain. But when you add these other herbs, then the game shifts up, right? So here's what ashwagandha does. It doesn't directly stimulate the brain, but instead it supports one of the biggest influences in cognitive performance, and that is stress. And this was something I was familiar with. In fact, my first thought before I started really diving deep into the rest of the herbs, my first thought was ginkgo. My second thought was ashwagandha because of what I know it does for your stress response. Okay. And this is something that's been around and used for centuries. This is not a new herb. None of these are. All of these are centuries old. And that is what I actually love about this. This is a very thoughtful, very well put together. In each of these herbs in the percentages is perfection. In fact, this formula has outperformed any of my expectations over the years. And for this, I am so humbled and I'm so grateful that I get to be the vessel to bring these in. This is something that it fills me with gratitude every single day. Now, the next herb in here is Gotu Kola. Now, this is something that's really important for the nervous system and very well known for the nervous system. So traditional use of Gotu Kola is mental clarity, focus, healthy aging, and it supports healthy nervous system. It just helps keep your nervous system running properly and functioning. And, you think about all of the things that happen in our nervous system during the day and how it affects our cognitive ability. That's pretty huge, right? So Gotu Kola is also in there. And I will say this, there's 2 more herbs. That was 6, there's 8 total. But every single one of these herbs, I go into detail on my YouTube, on this YouTube video, and you will be able to see a complete breakdown, the history, all of the benefits, if you can grow it yourself, of all 8 of these herbs individually. I go and I just teach everything about each one. So if you're curious about these 8 herbs, go and check those out. In fact, what I'm going to do after I do this video is I'm going to make a separate playlist so that you can easily find these 8 herbs. You can just click on the playlist and you'll be able to just go through these 8 if you feel so inclined to get a little bit deeper knowledge and insight into these 8 beautiful herbs. Now, the next one is Chinese ginseng. This one, energy, not just energy, but resilience. Okay, so this is extremely important because one of the most important things about keeping healthy brain function is having the energy to do things like movement, exercise, reading, learning, studying, all of the things. Whenever we learn new things, our brain creates new neurons that fire up, and we should always be learning. So this creates energy and mental resilience. Okay. So, and it also gives you physical stamina, mental endurance, healthy energy, and it also gives you a really good resistance to fatigue. Okay. So think about that. Ginseng, Panax ginseng, also known as Chinese ginseng. Super awesome. Oh, actually that was 6. We now have 2 more. Now the next one is Schisandra Berry. This one I had never heard of. And as I started studying and gathering a list, this one kind of nudged at me. I love the name of it. I'd never heard of it. And as I researched, I was like, oh my goodness, this is a plant, and in particular the berry of the Schisandra plant, that has been used for thousands of years in Asia. And they make it into a tea. They even make it into different culinary things. But it's been used as a supplement in the Asian communities for brain health and protection of the brain. So here's what it does, and here's what it supports: mental endurance, focus, and stress resilience. So it's really good. So this is also an adaptogen. You've got ashwagandha, you have Schisandra berry, really well known for its ability to help the body handle stress and give you focus, because it is known for what it does for your cognitive health. Okay. Now the final one, I love this. This one is really well known, and this is Skullcap. Okay. Skullcap was the very last plant that I added to this mix. The reason why is because I know that Skullcap is known for its ability to calm a monkey brain. Think about when you can't fall asleep and you're overthinking something. If you have mental stress and you have so much happening, St. John's wort can be very helpful for that. But Skullcap takes it to a whole nother level. And not only that, the medicinal properties of Skullcap complement the medicinal properties of all of the herbs that I just talked about. So this rounded out the perfect 8. And when it was done, it came together very quickly after I'd spent the time researching. The formulation just dropped in, and then the percentages of each in this formula dropped in right behind it. It's such a beautiful way to be inspired when you're formulating herbs that you learn about, you know what they do, and then you start to understand how they complement each other. It's really, really awesome. So here's what I wrote when I was writing my notes about Skullcap. Instead of stimulating the brain, it has been traditionally valued for helping to calm nervous tension while also supporting healthy nervous system function. To me, that's my favorite thing about it. What I like to tell people is that it actually calms down a monkey brain. Okay. I make a single tincture of many of these things and provide them for my family and myself. And Skullcap I'll sometimes send a family member just a bottle of Skullcap. And it's very, very helpful. So this is one thing I would say. If something like that interests you, I would learn how to make your own tinctures. The shelf life is long. They're actually super easy. You need to know and be able to identify the correct plant that you're using, make sure it's the right species, make sure it's the right part of the plant, because sometimes you'll use the root, you might use the stem, the leaves, the flower. You might need to collect it or harvest it when all the dew has burned off. There's a lot of nuances to putting together an herbal blend or even just tincturing your own herbs. But it's super fun once you learn how to do this and you're able to identify things properly. It's a super fun way to walk through life, supporting your health the way Mother Nature decided we needed to be supported, right? Then I wrote this, okay? So this is 8 different herbs with different jobs, and this is how they support each other. So ginkgo supports circulation. Bacopa, or water hyssop, nourishes your memory. Gotu Kola supports your nervous system. Ashwagandha helps your body adapt to stress. Ginseng promotes vitality. Schisandra builds resilience. Skullcap provides balance. And Periwinkle complements cerebral circulation support. So it's such a beautiful way to think about putting herbal blends and herbal formulas together. Now, one thing that's really, really cool that I wanted to just bring up because I feel like it goes in with this video is the addition of a single capsule formula that I brought out about 5 or 6 years ago. And this is of lion's mane. So after I had formulated the Brain Glow, it was out for probably 6 or 7 years. And then some mushrooms got on my radar because they started becoming very popular. They were not only studied on animals, but this started being studied in different for humans, because out of the 13,000 mushrooms that we have identified, there's about 3 million mushrooms, but we've identified about 13,000. Out of those 13,000 mushrooms, there's about 12 or 13 that are either culinary or medicinal. So they have been getting a lot of attention over the last few years. So about 5 or 6 years ago, after I started getting these mushrooms on my radar, I was like, all right, this one makes sense to me to add it into my own routine. I always do that first. And I typically will do that for a couple of years before I bring it out into a product. Sometimes I don't bring it out and I might add it into my routine. But when I feel like it's super, super important and I want to provide a really good source for people to find this, and I believe in it with 1,000% of my being, I will bring it into my supplement line. So lion's mane comes as a separate product, but it complements the herbs in Brain Glow perfectly. So let me give you a little bit of information about lion's mane. I'm going to add it to the playlist of the 8 herbs, those 8 videos I did for Brain Glow. I'm going to add the lion's mane video I did as well, because one of the things that I love most about lion's mane is it stimulates nerve growth factor. So it protects the neurons. It grows new neurons in your brain. Like, think about that in your nervous system, but I believe mostly cognitive function. And that's what it's been studied for. So it's an excellent companion to Brain Glow because it fills a role that isn't the primary focus of the original Brain Glow, okay? Brain Glow is designed around these things: circulation, stress adaptation, mental clarity, and nervous system support. That's what Brain Glow is designed around. Now, lion's mane, I believe, adds a whole other dimension, okay? It supports the health and the resilience of the nervous system itself. And that's, to me, what makes it so perfectly beautiful. So I'm actually going to leave that there. Many of you are familiar with lion's mane, and we put these together and into a bundle that's called Cognitive Bundle. And you can get a bottle of Brain Glow and a bottle of lion's mane. You can set it up on auto ship. It's the perfect way to do it. What I would suggest, take all of this information and do some of your own due diligence, because as you know, none of the information I share is meant to be medical advice. It's meant to entertain and educate you only. So make sure you do your own due diligence. Make sure that you really take into account certain things like, are you pregnant? Are you breastfeeding? Are you on medications? Are you on blood thinners? If you're on a prescription blood thinner, you should not be taking something like Ginkgo Biloba, because ginkgo has natural blood thinning properties. So there are nuances and importance of learning information, looking at your own situation, and getting with a functional medicine doctor. If you are on some medications, if you do want to add something in, don't just start grabbing things because I say so or someone else you trust says so. This is where you must use your intelligence, and you must use your common sense, and you must use your intuition. They have to go together, and you must get guidance. Some people need to get guidance, okay? Because we're on things. Some of us, are on prescription medications, and you might not know how they interact. So get with someone who is familiar with herbs and is familiar with prescription drugs, and they can guide you. That is my best education and my best thought process for you as you walk through this life as a human, and doing your best to thrive and to walk through this game we call life, and make the most of it and have a ton of fun. So I would love to know what you think about this. Because Brain Glow, like I said, has become one of our most popular formulas, and it's something I love. Some of the testimonials and the comments that I've gotten back talking to people have really blown my mind. And that's a beautiful thing when you're someone who feels like this is one of the purposes that I came in to do, is to teach people about herbal remedies and herbal medicine. And along the way, I've gotten a lot of experience myself. The older I get, the more I realize, okay, wow, I'm not on any prescriptions. I've been using herbal remedies my whole life. And in particular, the last 2 or 3 decades have been very strategic around herbs, herbal medicine. What can I do as I walk through these different phases of my life, and what's going to benefit me and my family? So it's always so humbling to know that what I get to do and share benefits other people as well. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one.